full-blown acceleration here. Whoa. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 2020 Range Rover Sport SVR. So as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover, Range Rover / Jaguar dealership here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with the SVR. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the SVR, we have a supercharged 5-liter V8 that goes to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, fuel economy is 15 around town and then 20 on the highway. Power outputs are 575 horsepower and then 516 pound-feet of torque, just like the 2020 Jaguar F-Type SVR. It has a 0 to 60 time of about 4.3 seconds. Now, before I close the hood, I just want to mention a couple more elements. I just love the overall aesthetic look of it, just like how everything just comes into the center right here. And then yes, the hood is 100% carbon fiber. Just look at the weave, even on the bottom, just looks absolutely crazy. And yes, the vents that you guys will see on the outside, those are also functional as well. But yeah, this whole setup here is just awesome. First thing I'm going to go over on the front end is, well, the lights. And just like all the other Land Rovers, you can turn the lights on just with this little key fob right here. So you just press that and then it'll turn the lights on. Press it again and it'll turn the lights off, and just so you guys can see what the LED lights look like. Now the next thing to go over is going to be the hood itself. It is absolutely ridiculous. So remember, full carbon fiber, and then they do this part exposed carbon fiber, then they paint the sides, kind of give it like a sportier look. And then again, you guys can see those vents there at the top. And then coming down here, you've got all of your regular logos, but notice that they continue the carbon fiber touches even down here. You got your parking sensors here at the bottom. Got the little very subtle SVR logo right there. And then coming down here, you can notice you've got the black accenting at the bottom. But overall, this front end just looks so aggressive and so sporty. I love it. Like, you just instantly know what this is just by the front end. Now, coming around to the side here and looking at the tire and rim setup, we've got 285mm tires on 22-inch rims, which are just absolutely massive. And the back setup is exactly the same as the front. Now just look at how massive the rotors, because remember, these are 22s, and I mean the rotors fill up a pretty large amount of that. And I love the accenting with the red brake caliper on top of that, and then the black wheels themselves. I think they have a really nice aesthetic appeal to them. I love how they did the open design on it, so you can kind of see everything that's happening behind it. And then yes, this also does come with the air suspension, so you can raise and lower the suspension itself. And they kind of do this tiny little cute body colored fender flare that goes around. Another cool element here on the side is actually this little carbon fiber venting here. Now they kind of just make it look like venting, but it is not actually venting. It's just kind of stuck on there. But I mean, at least it still looks really good. Mirrors are also finished in carbon fiber. And well, if we take a step back here, you guys can see the full profile on the Sport SVR. Now here is the key fob for the SVR. Notice that you actually do get a little SV on the back of the key fob, which I think is a pretty cool little touch. But you've got the unlock, the lock, the release for the tailgate, and then the lights. And well, we're gonna pop open the rear. Notice it's pretty much instantaneous with how it pops open. Coming into the rear, we're gonna start with the cargo cover. So the cargo cover is really easy to use. You literally just have to pull it forward, like it's already into the track and everything. So yeah, all built in, really nice assembly right there. And then notice that you actually do have a couple of speakers for the sound system back here, so you pretty much have surround sound. And then you got a little 12-volt right here, and then you got this little power outlet that's kind of hidden there, but it's a full power outlet. These little buttons right here can raise or lower the rear end, so it makes loading things up a whole lot easier. And they do give you a rubber floor mat in the back. Now there is a spare tire underneath here, but it's kind of difficult to lift with just one hand. You kind of got to lift this with both hands on both sides because there's two little levers, but trust me, there is a spare tire under there, I promise. And then finally, finishing things up, you can just press that and that'll lower down the rear. Now let's finish things up with the design elements in the rear. And then the lights are on right now, so you guys can kind of see those. And I want to mention them quickly before they pop off. So they do have that really cool 3D effect where they've got the little LEDs on the inside. I think it's a really cool look, distinctively Range Rover. You actually do get a pretty big spoiler for an SUV at the top there. Now the whole roof is finished in black. It kind of contrasts everything nicely. You do get this nice little carbon fiber strip that goes all along the side. Obviously you got to have your SVR badging. And then yeah, the exhaust setup, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. Parking sensors all along the rear as well. And I just think the rear end just has a really nice look. And don't hate me for this, but I actually like this bigger, or sorry, better I should say, than like the larger Range Rover, you know, the Land Rover Range Rover. I think this just looks a little bit nicer. Now coming around to the side, you actually do get keyless entry here in the rear, and you guys are gonna love the setup here on the door panel. So you've got really nice soft touch leather pretty much everywhere on the door panel, and where there's not leather, you've got carbon fiber. Like, it's just a really nice setup. And then notice the speakers for the sound system. Just like all of this is just absolutely crazy. So much attention to detail, just even on the door panel. Now here are the seats in the rear, and even the back seats have like this sporty look to it, which you are going to expect in an SVR. They got this really nice like design on them where they have the nice perforations all throughout. And again, they kind of just make the bolsters, make the seats appear pretty sporty. And then you can see just down here, just all of it. And the leather, by the way, is really soft to the touch. And then there are little inserts of Alcantara. Now we are gonna pop in quickly. So stepping in here, step in height, it's actually really easy to get in. Remember, you do have the air suspension, so you can adjust the ride height to make it even easier to step in. Now I'm 5'11", I've got a good amount of legroom. In terms of headroom, I also have a solid amount. Now, notice here, you actually do have like the whole climate control section. Let's actually, give me just a second. Boom! Oh wow, it popped on somehow. I'm not sure how, but must be magic. But you guys can see the vents up there, and then you got carbon fiber all around it. And look at this. You actually get heated and ventilated seats for the rear passengers. I mean, that's just crazy that you get both of those. And also you get the climate controls. Now with the climate controls, you actually have a dual zone climate back here. So there's 4 different climate zones in this vehicle, so everyone can have their own separate climate, whatever they feel like. And then notice down here you have all these little areas where you can actually charge devices, which I think that's a pretty nice little setup right there. And then finishing things up in the rear, I just want to pull up the armrest. You guys can see the cup holders, and just notice that pretty much everything is lined with leather back here. So like everything that you touch, even like the backs of the seats, everything pretty much is going to just be a nice little touch point. Coming up front here, we do have keyless entry for the front. Remember, the mirrors are carbon fiber. I just have to mention that a million times. You do get blind spot monitoring with those mirrors. Now the door panel here in the front, you're going to notice that design-wise, pretty much identical to the rear. So same, all of the like mixing and everything with the leather and the carbon fiber, just all of that like blacked out look and appearance on it. The only difference is, notice that you actually do get a little speaker up there for the sound system. Now the seats at the front are even more aggressive than the ones in the rear. So you got the Alcantara inserts here. The bolsters are a lot bigger, but don't worry, there's lots of padding on them, so these seats are still very comfortable to sit in. And then coming down here, you guys will notice you got the adjustments for the seats. And then here's what the pedals look like on the SVR. You got the little release for the hatch, and then even around the vent here, carbon fiber. Like, they've got carbon fiber everywhere. Now starting up the SVR, just got to push the push button. Ooh, that V8 sounds good, and everything will come to life. Here's the steering wheel on the SVR, and I love the look of the steering wheel here. So they do all like black leather and black stitching. The top part, just like most of the other steering wheels in the Range Rover lineup, is a little bit smoother. This is a little bit grippier, where you're actually going to grab on the steering wheel, and they actually have these nice hand grips right there. And at the bottom it's smoother again. Notice that you do get the SVR logo again, and then just carbon fiber on the steering wheel as well. I mean, it's a cool little touch. You get this white contrasted stitching even on the airbag. Cruise control is on that side. On the other side, you got the controls for the center stack. The paddle shifters just have a really nice look and feel to them on the back of the steering wheel. And then that's your stock for the windshield wipers. That's your stock for the lights and turn signals and all that fun stuff. And yeah, there's your SVR steering wheel. Here is the gauge cluster in the center for the SVR. You've got the speed over on the left hand side. Notice that it goes up to 190, and it has another thing above 190, but it doesn't have a number on it. I wonder what that is. But on the other side, you got the RPMs, and then in the center you've got all these different screens you can scroll through. I didn't really notice anything different compared to other Range Rovers. It looks like it's pretty much all the same. It's just that this is the screen in your SVR. First off, going to go into the center infotainment system, and when you actually pop it into reverse, the mirrors tilt down, so pretty neat little feature right there. Now the resolution on the backup camera is super good. It's really easy to see out of it, and in general, even though this is like kind of like a larger SUV, it's not difficult to park by any means. The maneuverability on it's super solid, but that's the camera part of it. For the rest of the infotainment system, just like the other Range Rovers, you can like tilt this screen depending on the time of day, so you can kind of get the best effect with the lighting on the screen. And you can even go to like little camera tabs, so you can kind of go through the different camera views, which is a pretty neat little thing. And other than that, I mean, scrolling through this, touch response time on it super good. You got the shortcuts at the bottom, and in terms of like menus, I didn't notice anything too crazy except for the fact this has the 4-wheel drive stuff, which, I mean, people that buy this probably aren't going to take it off-roading because it's like a high performance SUV. The ambient lighting is pretty cool because you get a lot of different color options to go through. And then the other cool tab that this has actually is just right next to that, you've got the dynamic. And basically what that does is you can kind of go through everything performance-wise on this, which I think is pretty cool. Now, down here we have the second screen, and this is basically going to control the vehicle drive modes, but then also, more importantly, I would say, the climate section. So for example, if I want to change the seat, I just click that in, and then I can control my seat. And then over there is on the fan speed, but notice you can click it in and go into temperature, and then you can click it in and go to the seat. So really easy, really configurable to use in general. And then you can even go over to the seats directly and just figure everything out, and then you can turn that seat on the side or turn it off. Pretty easy to use. And then over on the vehicle side, this is where you can actually get into the drive modes, which is pretty cool. Now the drive mode select is actually down here, so we actually have to press that out of auto. And then notice that when I press it into auto, it's all grayed out. When I press it out of auto, it actually lets me go through the drive modes. Now they are going to pop up on this screen, so notice that it'll say Eco here, but then it also pops up in the center screen right here. So notice that as I go into like dynamic, for example, it goes over all the other drive modes that you guys can see here are pretty much just different forms of off-road modes, which again are cool, but this is a high performance SUV with 22-inch rims and summer performance tires. So I don't think you're going to take it off-road, but you still have the capability, okay? Now here is the whole like center console area. So notice that again, full carbon fiber, which is a pretty nice little touch. Got a couple cup holders right there, and this, you don't actually click it in, you actually just pull it back like normal. Here's the shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. You do have the dual shift mode if you're gonna shift the gears yourself, and then it's pretty easy to get it back into park. You just have to click the button there on the front to get in the gears, and then going to park, you just press that button at the top. Got your stability control right there. That's kind of like your off-road cruise control. And again, this is that drive mode select that I showed you guys earlier that you can switch between the different drive modes. This is for the air suspension, hill descent control, and then that's your low range gearing. Got your little parking brake right here. Center console is absolutely massive. Notice it opens up to 2 tiers, and you're like, why does it do that? Well, it's because it also doubles as a refrigerator, which is a pretty neat little thing. You can charge a couple devices right in front of the center console refrigerator thingy-majigger. And then you press that, that'll open up the bottom part of the glove box, and then you press this, and that'll open up the top part. Now the top part is spring loaded, so notice that you do have to kind of like pull it open when you are using it, and then this one, just a regular glove box. But the last thing is it does have really nice like leather all around. Like all of this is all soft touch. So again, all of your touch points all around the car just either look nice or they feel nice. Look nice, feel nice. Top here you've got the controls for the sunroof, which is pretty easy. If you just like lightly tap it, it'll just kind of like barely go. If you like fully go, and it'll go automatic with the shade. Now this is one of those shades that's kind of like semi-transparent, so it already lets like just a little bit, but it's pretty good in terms of keeping the interior dark and then cool at the same time. And well, that's the top. So here's a window sticker, because you guys are probably wondering on the pricing. Now you guys can freeze a frame if you want to look at the individual segments on the window sticker itself. Now, notice you've got the base MSRP before options, and oh, trust me, we've got some options. That, all the carbon fiber on the exterior, so like with the carbon fiber hood, $5,200. So you better love that carbon fiber, because it's going to cost you a little bit of money. The sound system, which is absolutely awesome. I wish I could show you guys, but obviously I'd get copyrighted, but it sounds just phenomenal. $4,500. But yeah, after all options, total MSRP, $143,430. Let's take this SVR out and see how she handles. Let's quickly talk about visibility here in the SVR before we set off. So visibility of the hood, it's actually good, but it also looks really cool because you see the white and then the carbon fiber and then the hood vents, and it's a good time. There's your visibility through the side mirror. And by the way, this is really random, but I didn't notice that. Like, sorry that I failed to notice this earlier, but this is actually a storage tray. So yeah, there's your visibility through the other mirror, and then that's a cool SVR badge. And then here's visibility all throughout the rear. So visibility in general is really good. I mean, you can pretty much see everything throughout this. And then in terms of the mirror, you just have a standard mirror here at the top. And well, that all being said, let's set off. We are initially setting off here in the Range Rover Sport SVR. And you guys will notice that I didn't really talk about the active exhaust that this has too much before I actually got into the driving portion of it. And that's because I couldn't really tell a big difference. Like, even when I revved it between the quiet mode and the loud mode, they both just sounded loud. So it has an active exhaust, but like, I can't tell a difference. Like, I can press the button right now, or I gotta go over to the vehicle. There we go. I can press the button and it just sounds loud and rumbly either way. So yeah, it's interesting. But initially setting off, just like what I said when I reviewed the Range Rover Sport, I think it was the HSE, if memory serves me correctly. This still gives you like that king of the road feel. This still gives you kind of just, again, like that, just like big road presence. And it just is a really cool vehicle. And I won't get into this too much until I actually sum things up with the Sport, but this definitely is, I think it's one of the best offerings from Range Rover. But now that we're actually really setting off, let's talk about the road noise and ride quality. I'm probably gonna have to like overlay more like clips of the hood than I do the normal, because I keep like having to adjust this mask. But initially setting off, super smooth. Like, even though this has huge wheels, I mean huge, super smooth. And once we go over the train tracks like normal, this will really tell us. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't upset it. It doesn't feel super uncomfortable or anything. It's really smooth. And in terms of the noise, there's a lot happening out here in downtown Salt Lake. And again, it's really well insulated. So from a luxury car perspective, it does a really good job. And while I'm here in just like the automatic mode, in terms of like the drive modes, I want to see how the transmission performs. Yeah, the transmission's really seamless. The gear shifts are really quick, even in like what would probably be considered like a normal mode, basically, with this auto for the drive modes. Yeah, even the downshifts, they're not super aggressive, but they are quick enough. Now we are going to go over into the dynamic mode, which I'm sure that's what you guys all want to see and hear, and it automatically turns the exhaust into the loud mode, even though it's always loud, which I think it's a good thing, right? If you're going to be buying a Range Rover Sport, it should always be loud, right? But yeah, the gear shifts super quick. I mean, they pretty much happen instantaneous on the upshifts and on the downshifts. Yeah, the downshifts are really quick as well. And I mean, just overall, it does a really good job just from the shifting perspective. And I'm just gonna put the mask like super far up my face so that when I talk, as it slowly falls down, it'll stay up for longer. But let's get into talking about just how this handles around this little corner right here. Now, we're not going crazy quick or anything like that, but this will at least give us a little bit of an idea on the handling and also just like the steering feel. So the steering's super light. In terms of the body roll, I mean, you can tell that it's a heavier SUV, but the body roll isn't that crazy, to be honest. Like, it actually does pretty well. But now we're gonna get our full-blown acceleration here. Whoa. Wow. Now, obviously I'm not gonna go above the speed limit, so that's why I didn't pass anyone. But I can tell you, I was going a lot slower than everyone else for a second there. And then instantly I was going a lot faster than everyone else. So she does well from an acceleration standpoint. It sounds good. It has that like signature crackle that the SVRs have. That sounds really good. Like, that is a really nice like crackling sound. Like, I love that on the upshifts. And now this person isn't riding my behind anymore. We're gonna get another one of those. It hooks up really well around corners on acceleration. Like, this definitely like has that like fun performance. Ooh. Oh, it did like little gargles. Ooh, I like this car. This is fun. That sounds really good. And if you guys were running on the noise and everything on the highway, it was quiet. and the ride quality was smooth even in this dynamic mode. In the manual mode, super solid. Don't know if I'll be able to get you guys too much tunnel fun here, but I will do my best to give you guys a little bit of some exhaust through the tunnel. That's loud. Holy crap. Wow. Wow. I know you guys can't really see my facial reaction much because I got this mask on, but wow. Oh my gosh. I wasn't even like, I don't go all the way up to red line, so I wasn't even up to red line, and that was loud. Like, that kind of reminded me of like the sound that my freaking ZL1 1LE makes. That is crazy. So let's get into summing things up with this. And I actually kind of had like this preconceived notion that this was going to be crazy before even going into this review. One of my friends owns this, not this specific one, but one of these, and all he ever talks about is how luxurious it is and how comfortable it is and all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, it's basically just a Range Rover but with a Jaguar powertrain, and it just sounds crazy and all this kind of stuff. He's right. Like, this is, in my opinion, I think that this is probably the best Range Rover that you can buy. And the reason I say that is the aesthetic appearance on the outside is just perfect. It looks really good on the outside. On the interior, it's got so much like cool touches. Everything's nice too though, so like you get the combination of like a sporty cool interior, but then you also get like the luxury amenities too, right? You get the 4-zone climate, and you get all of the nice leather touches, and so it just like combines like modern technology with this fun performance. And yes, it's at a high price point, but this is a really cool car. And again, I think like out of everything, this has got to be the best Range Rover, like hands down. There's just no question. That's it. And there we have it, everyone, the 2020 Range Rover Sport SVR. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Range Rover / Jaguar dealership here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with this SVR. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.